Hello, ladies.
Hello.
Welcome. Welcome. Hi, Lynette. Hi, Bridget.
Hi. Hi.
So excited that you're here. Thank you for joining me today on Michelle's Conversations That Matter. This is such an important topic, and I am thrilled to be working on a collaboration with you both, and then also to be having this conversation with you today about the mental health and well-being of our first responders. So thank you for saying yes to being here. For those who have watched my series, you've seen conversations I've had with Lynette in the past. And Bridget is new, so we're going to talk to her as well so she gets familiar, so people can get familiar with her as well. So why I have this series, Michelle's Conversations That Matter, is I'm out to elevate the conversation about mental health and to have people be educated and inspired around their well-being and make a difference when it comes to eradicating stigma. Today, we are here to talk about first responder mental health and resiliency. And both of you are former law enforcement, retired, I guess you could say, and you have an intimate connection to this space. And I'm thrilled to have this conversation with you. You know, suicide amongst first responders is a very sobering statistic when you look at it. More officers have lost their lives to suicide than in the line of duty. It's a scary statistic to realize that our men and women are dying by suicide. But before we dive into this topic and really talk about it in depth, Bridget, can you take a second, just introduce yourself, who you are, where you live, and what you do for a living?
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. I'm so happy to be here with both of you guys. Y'all are both super awesome ladies, and I'm so happy to have you in my life. My name is Bridget Truxillo. I'm an attorney, and I'm former law enforcement. And I started a company this year called the Law Enforcement Legal and Wellness Program. And I'll certainly talk more about that, but important other facts about me is I have 3 wonderful, lovely, brilliant children, wonderful husband who I had a nice impromptu lunch date with today. And I live in Houston, Texas, where it's currently a downpour, which is what happens here. It's either flooding all of a sudden, and then the next minute it's fine. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Bridget. And we were introduced to you, Lynette and I, through another mutual friend, and it's been so nice to get to know you. Lynette, can you introduce yourself for those who don't know you, haven't seen you on my show before, who you are, where you live, and what you do?
Absolutely. My name's Lynette Shaw. I've been in law enforcement in northern New Jersey for the last 28 years and just recently retired March 1. And I relocated to Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, and I am so excited to be here. I have a business secondary, the Lynette Shaw Group. And that is basically to help and to train first responders in mental health and wellness, and also de-escalation in situations they may get into when they're working.
Awesome. Awesome. Mm-hmm. And I've seen your work, and you're a pretty amazing human being for all of those that you have served with this work. Bridget, you have a very unique background, and I think you were a little shy with sharing it. You have a very unique and a very important background. So tell us a little bit more about your background in law enforcement, and then what you went on to do, and why you created your organization now, what you're out to accomplish.
Yes, there's more details to that. So I went to law enforcement as a deputy sheriff in Alachua County, Florida, which is where Gainesville is. I went to the University of Florida, went to the police academy the week after I graduated. People always ask me why, because I don't have any law enforcement in my family, never have. And maybe some suspect members in Sicily way back when, but that kind of. But I joke around and say that I watched G.I. Jane one time and I thought it was funny. It was fun. So I decided I'd be the next G.I. Jane. It's a joke. I'm mostly joking. I didn't shave my hair off. But I went to law enforcement because I thought that I wanted to become like FBI or DEA, like the federal level. Once I joined the sheriff's office, I did patrol for a little while, but then I very quickly went into the narcotics and organized crime unit and did that for almost the whole time I was there. And at the same time, I was also on the SWAT team. So I was the only female member of the SWAT team. Super awesome experiences. There's so much of that time that I just thought I was getting paid to play. And I was in my 20s. What did I know? And because I was in the narcotics unit and the only female member of the SWAT team, I left. Decided that law enforcement was not my long-term route, which was an identity crisis for me, for real. And then decided I'd go to law school, not really knowing what I wanted to do as a lawyer, but what I learned towards the end of my time as a deputy, which I can say after 20 years of looking back on it in these few words, is that I decided I didn't want to serve as law enforcement anymore, but I wanted to serve law enforcement. And so I knew that someday I'd want to give back. And I also knew that I wanted to do that on an individual basis, that I didn't want to work for the agency. And not that I want to trash talk agencies in any kind of way. My experiences weren't always great. And the interests of an agent are a lot different than the individual, especially 20-year-old something interests of the officers themselves. And when I say officers, I feel like these overlap. I mean, it's not distinct to law enforcement. It's first responders. So corrections officers, probation, parole, 911 operators, EMTs. I mean, they're all under an amazing amount of stress because we are the people that run to danger, not the ones that run away. And so what I ended up creating is, after years of being an attorney and gleaning a lot of skills from that in lots of different types of legal areas, I knew that what I wanted to do, even before the climate became what it is today, it was still a struggle when I left in the end of 2004. And so I knew I wanted to give back. I wanted to do something to help officers feel better, feel more supported. And I knew that over the year, lots of different reasons, either because I've been doing yoga for 16 years and it's done a lot. That's done a lot for me. I know that can help officers feel more balanced and joyful in life, but then also because I'm an attorney. And what I realized that I was trying to develop is I was creating something for I wish when I was a deputy, I had somebody like me now back then, somebody who I could call and say, oh my gosh, I'm in an internal affairs investigation. What do I do? I'm not allowed to talk to anybody about it, and I'm scared. And and they'd say, hey, okay, let's just talk it through. Yes, you're going to have to write a statement. Write your statement, send it to me. I'll review it for you. It's going to be fine. Like, even if you did something wrong, we can address it. It's fine. Just to have somebody to tell you that it's going to be fine. I did not have that, and particularly because I was the only female in those units, I felt even more isolated. So if I could have had me, and then what I think the other part that I've created is, so my program involves legal support. So it's called the Law Enforcement Legal and Wellness Program. And it's a membership-based program that provides two important things. Legal support services, which is what I'm describing, because most first responders cannot afford an attorney. But in the membership, which you pay just a low monthly fee, you get to call an attorney whenever you have any kind of question. And it does not have to be about work. You can say, I want to start a business. Your wife is messing up the custody agreement. You want me to review your will. Send it to me. Call me, book a call. And not just me, and we'll have other attorneys involved to help you with that. And then the second part is the wellness side. And when I say wellness, I am also calling that tactical brain training. And so wellness might sound like, I use the word hippy dippy a lot of times, and not because I think it is, but sometimes my husband calls this stuff hippy dippy, like my fabulous essential oils that I use. All of those play into the tactical brain training that you can do for yourself to help you feel more equipped to handle what the job is. And at the end of the day, it's all designed for you to feel more comfort, ease, and support so that you can have a more balanced and joyful life. Because I don't want you to leave the job if you're not ready to leave the job. I don't want you to burn out. Heaven forbid, I don't want you to hurt yourself or irrationally react and hurt others. I want you to stay in the job, but I want you to have balance and joy through that. And so my entire program is designed to provide very specific things, including webinars like we're going to have, plug on May 3rd, which we'll talk about some more in a minute. But all of it there's nothing haphazard about what I've put in the program. It's all very distinct. I consider them all spokes in a wheel. If you take any spoke out, the wheel doesn't turn in the right way or just doesn't function. All of these things are designed very specifically for first responders to feel balanced and joyful.
Amazing. I love it. I love it. Now let's go over to Lynette. Lynette, you have trained thousands of people, and you especially have trained new recruits with regard to mental health. Tell us why this work is so important to you personally, and why you do it, and also share with us a little bit about the documentary that's coming out with the Quell Foundation.
Absolutely. As you know, even before law enforcement, I was in doing fugitive investigations around the country, in and out of the country. I, as a child, had adverse childhood experience, trauma, and coming up, very, very difficult to navigate family issues, and I didn't even know where it was coming from, right? And then subsequently got into law enforcement, onto a police department, and realized the things that we see, it's just not normal for any one person to, experience those things, and to see children that are hurt or worse. To run into gunfire, as you were saying, Bridget, run into gunfire, run into problems while everybody else is running out. And then for us to sit with that, with our regular life, with your husband, your wife, your children, and having to navigate financial issues and whatnot, right? I realized, and I watched how officers just brick by brick, just like destroyed their own lives because of things they've seen, because of the difficulty of navigating police work, whether it be problems with administration, you getting in trouble out on the street. And the big thing was that nobody was being trained, or nobody was really, waking up to the fact that, look, the high divorce rates and all of these things, the health problems, the issues on the job, where they were coming from. Nobody ever really looks at police that way, or first responders that way, because we're the ones supposed to be strong, right? We're supposed to be, the ones who help. But who helps those who help? And so what ended up happening, I went to a class, a crisis intervention class, and a woman from NAMI, the National Association for Mental Health, she talked about her son and how he had a mental illness, and how she had to navigate that all through his life from the age of 16 years old. And I watched as she told the story, and the end of the story, and how he interacted with police as well. But the end of the story was that her son was so distraught with this illness that he sat on the railroad tracks and allowed a train to hit him. And it like broke me down. And I realized that we're in a lot of pain. Yeah. We're in a lot of pain. Even navigating that, we're in a lot of pain. And so I got into crisis intervention, which helps police officers identify signs and symptoms of mental illness. But while I was in there, I realized, well, I've been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress myself, right? And I've been navigating that process and going to counseling and whatnot. And I didn't realize what an anomaly I was, that I actually went to get help. And so many others, the stigma is so ridiculous in this profession that nobody wants to get help. They don't want to admit that they're hurting. We joke and we laugh about things that's really not laughable. But that's a defense mechanism that we use in order to cope. But it's not healthy coping. And we have to learn how to cope in a way that's going to allow us, as you said, Bridget, to be joyful. The other thing is, I love to teach the recruits, because they ask really good questions. And if I had the training that I give to the recruits, I would have been much better off. The recruits, there's nothing there. So you can really teach them about wellness and the effects of the job. And you can also tell them it's okay to get a counselor before you even become a police officer, because you will need them. I don't care where you're working. I don't care what type of, job that you do, whether it's detective bureau, on the road, SWAT, what you're going to need someone to talk to and to really go through the things that you see and do on the job. Not an easy situation, but I am absolutely passionate about making sure that we stamp out this stigma and that officers are not taking their lives. I have colleagues in the last few years that have actually taken their lives. And it's the most painful thing when you're sitting next to somebody or you have been with somebody and you just don't know, you didn't see it. And you didn't know the signs. No one knew.
Right.
And it's normally the person that is the most, giving, the most caring, the ones there for everybody. And you don't see the signs. And so I teach about seeing the signs.
Nice.
And so I'm really, really excited about the documentary that's coming out. The Quell Foundation cast me in this documentary, and I am so grateful, because what we are trying to do is to bring a whole lot of awareness to the stigma, number one, of the mental health stigma that just keeps us from getting help. And also to talk about our stories. I find that when we talk about our stories and we open up, and this is what I say when I teach in the recruit class, I'm like, listen, I'm going to undress. I am totally going to take it off. If you feel uncomfortable, it's too bad, but you need to know this. So we tell our life stories and we tell really intimate details of what has happened and how we felt about it and how things affected us that happened on the job. And in doing that, I find that it gives others permission to open up, and they say, I'm not alone. That happened to me, and that's just how I felt. I fell apart and I didn't know what to do. And so now they'll know what to do, and we are giving them permission just to be themselves and to be able to pour out, and we always worry about getting in trouble. Are we going to get promoted? Are they going to send us out? Are they going to take our guns away? These are the things that, we worry about.
Right.
But we have to really, really be conscious of the fact that if we're not okay, nobody or the community is not okay. Our family is not okay. Our children are not okay. We have to put that mask on first and make sure we take care of ourselves intentionally, deliberately, because we will get into situations that really put us in a very dark place. And for you to pull I am my brother's keeper. To be able to pull someone else out of that is vitally important, and it saves lives.
And the name of the documentary is called Lift the Mask, right?
Lift the Mask, First Responders Sound the Alarm.
Awesome. I'm excited. I'm excited for everything that's going to go on around that release of that this fall. Switching over to you, Bridget, what do you think? And, from your own personal experience and what you've seen in the life that you lived before you became an attorney, what do you think can be done? What do you think chiefs can do differently to help their officers to proactively be thinking about their well-being given the profession?
It's a very good question. I've had a lot of conversations with chiefs lately as I've been building and getting the word out about my program. And what I love is that, you can't wake up in the day and not hear about issues with law enforcement. And chiefs are very aware of, or the chiefs that I've spoken to are very aware of the need to have a really sound wellness program. And great things like there's a chief out of Washington State who has put together a panel of different ranks within his department to have conversations around what should it be. We need to bulk this up, and what does it need to be. I think just that in and of itself for all chiefs is, I mean, just that alone. If you create a committee of people within your department, not just your captains or above to talk about it, you need rank and file up. I'm not saying it needs to be a big committee. I'm just saying put the rank and file up, and get people's feedback. I think, it'd be kind of hard if you're a patrol officer and you're in the room with some, 4 stars or 3 stars from your department. I mean, hopefully you have the strength to speak up in the room. But I just think that in and of itself is phenomenal. And then the other part about that is, law enforcement, I would not say is a culture that's open to communicate, period. Not just about mental health. They don't really want to talk about their feelings. They don't really talk about what went wrong. They might talk about what's good, but I mean, anybody in law enforcement knows they make a lot of jokes about a lot of things, and oftentimes in the most harsh circumstances, because that's how they're dealing with it. I mean, you'll see scenes and pictures or videos of cops on some awful scene, and some of them are laughing about something. That does not mean they are not affected by what's happening. It means they're coping with it somehow. Whether they realize they're coping with it or not, that's a different conversation. But what I mean is, what chiefs can do is, number one, to have conversations around building up and creating from scratch, if you need to, a wellness program that proactively, like Lynette said, proactively, intentionally addresses wellness things. There are a lot of departments out there that have employee assistance programs, but the problem with that is they don't use it. There is, unfortunately, a lot of mistrust or just lack of trust between the rank and file and the executives. It's unfortunate, but it's a fact. And so one of the things, like my program exists because that's how I felt. I did not feel like I could talk to any of my supervisors. In fact, the people I was having the biggest problem with were my supervisors. And then I would not have reached out to my union rep. I believe in unions, especially up in the Northeast, where unions definitely have a purpose. I am not out here to replace unions, but I would not have reached out to my union rep because I did not feel like it would be confidential. And I didn't want my worries or my concerns shared amongst the whole department. And so part of what I've created is you get all of that. You get all the support in many different ways. You get specific programs for steps you can take to get to lead that joyful life. And you do it without feeling like everybody in the department knows about your business. My program is not offered directly through agencies because, in my humble opinion, what these officers do to take care of themselves, the details of that is none of their business. And I still think that wellness programs through a department are phenomenal and very important. But so one more thing to say about that is, some of it comes down to just straight up managerial skills. What do I think chiefs can do to help improve wellness? I think they can train and train their lieutenants and supervisors to manage people well. And it's as simple as being out there with your officers and giving them feedback. One of my favorite books I read 20-something years ago, it was called The 1 Minute Manager by Ken Blanchard. It's a very short read. I recommend it for anybody that does any kind of supervising, parenting, coaching, anything, because the importance of all of it is you do it right away, and you do it very specifically, and you tell why. And that's not just for bad things, that's for good things. I mean, just imagine if you're on your first job and your first call and you have your supervisor with you and they say, hey, let's talk about that for a second. I just want to tell you, see what you did there and the way you interacted with that. That was great, and here's why. That is like getting a raise in a sense. When you know why, number one, when you know why you're doing something, that it's not just on rote action. You're doing it because you understand, you believe. And then number two, to be given feedback, and much less positive feedback. I mean, raise your hand if you had positive feedback in the last week. I mean, nobody gets it. Granted, we get negative feedback, but that's important too, because when you know better, you can do better. And again, it's specific, it's right away, and why. And so when somebody walks away remembering what you said, not how you said it, you've won. And so those are two things I think that chiefs can do a lot around. And I have whole programs that I can do with executives and agencies to talk about how they do that. Train them to do it, give them feedback on how they may or may not be doing it. Because it literally is like giving people a raise without giving them a raise. People will fight for you if they think you believe in them.
So good. So good. So good. So I'm gonna I have to get my cable because I'm watching my battery just decrease by the second. So as I do that, Lynette, my next question for you, and I'm gonna pull myself off the screen, you two ladies can talk about this, is really around what's going on in the current climate, right? And we heard from the officers that we met with the other day, the chiefs who were saying, like, I'm just tired. I don't want to be out in my uniform. So Lynette, can you talk a little bit about that? What's going on in the climate and how officers are feeling, and any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. I can absolutely speak to that, mainly because I just retired. And so the last year has been, it's been really tough on law enforcement with all this social unrest and police officers being villainized for the actions of a few officers has been really tough. The actual officers being abused and hit with bricks and spit on and all of those things. This profession has changed greatly in the last few years, and because of the social unrest. And there's a good reason for the social unrest, absolutely, but there's nobody who's been a bridge, between community and police. It's either people, advocates that are for different organizations are demanding reform, and demanding actions where they have no idea what is involved in police work, and there's nobody coming together to really offer solutions about what's happening, and we're all being put in one big box and saying you all are bad. And again, what does that feel like? I mean, for the regular person, right? We get into police work because we want to serve, right? And when we serve, right, we get out there and we help families, and we are there at people's worst time in their lives. We're there to offer support, to uphold the law and those different things. And when people are spitting on you and saying that you're a killer and that you're racist and all of these things, it has to have a grave effect on everybody. It had on me. I am a Black woman with Black children, 2 Black boys and 2 Black girls. And I understand what's going on from both perspectives. And the thing is this, I think I told Michelle this story before, about 2 years ago when my daughter and I were sitting in a salon, and 3 Black men came in and robbed us, but stuck a .45 caliber weapon to my daughter's head. And I didn't have a weapon. So all I could do, was instruct her to do what they said. And then when they stuck the gun to her head again, I actually had to stand up and scream at the guy and say, she doesn't have what you're asking for. And then he stuck the gun into my chest, right? So now I say this to say, my daughter was so badly affected by that experience that she didn't go to school for a whole year. She was racked with anxiety, depression, could not get out of the bed to take a shower for an entire year. So if anybody is going to be affected and can say, oh, all Black men, all Black men, they rob people, right? I mean, if anybody was going to say it, it should be me, right? But I don't, because I have presence of mind to know that it's not all Black men, not all Black teenagers. It's those 3 that did that. And I say that to say, it's not all police officers. It's the 1 or 2 or 3 that did that and did it in a way that was illegal, right? They had no business having a badge, okay? I don't agree with everything. And there are many, and I work with thousands of good police officers, and to get spit on after, and put in the same category as officers that don't honor service and their badge and doesn't honor the job. It's hurtful. And what it does to your mind and to your body is can be irreversible. The stress that has been in the past couple of years, and even the last 6 months, the stress on police officers, it's awful. And to see the attitudes that are being taken, and they're afraid to do their jobs. They don't even want to show up, because if they feel if they are going to do something, even if they do it right, they're going to be wrong. And so going to work with that type of fear, and that your administrators are not going to back you up. This law that's passing that prohibits us from, doing this or that. They were going to take our houses if we make a mistake. That stress can really kill. So now that's why we have the mass exodus. And there's a lot of police officers that are getting out because they realize that they cannot manage the stress of the job, and the dangers that they're in unnecessarily. This is an honorable job, and it has always been respected, and in the last few years, it's been torn down brick by brick by the actions of maybe some officers that, were not acting in the best interest of their department, but acting out of their feelings or emotions or whatever it might be. I don't like to be a Monday morning quarterback, because when we don't have all of the information, it's not fair to, to judge. And I find that it's just not fair for me to judge, because you have to put yourself in somebody else's shoes before you do that. But I just don't believe in putting people in a box and saying all of you because of one of you. I think that really gives this profession a black eye, and where we already, are stressed out from the things that we have seen and the things that we've had to do, and being in fear of being hurt or maimed or killed. So, it's a lot. It's a whole lot to handle for any one person. And I know that we're supposed to be heroes and we're supposed to be the protectors, but it doesn't feel like that when we're being spit on, when we're being, abused in that way. But I'm a Black mother, and I understand the other side of this. But if we keep pouring out and sending out, negativity and accusations, see, the problem is the community isn't educated about police procedure. And if they were, right, and if we really had, programs that taught young people how to respond when stopped by police officers, and not to resist, and to, I think things would be a whole lot different. And the problem is that we're speaking different languages. And because of that, we need a bridge. We need someone to be a bridge that can bring that together, because really we all want the same thing. We want to live in neighborhoods that are safe for our families, right? We want to make sure that people that we serve are safe, right? And people want to be safe, right? We want the same things. We want to be able to live in a community where our families can thrive. And police officers, in my own opinion, that's what we want as well.
I just want to acknowledge, we have a few people with us, and I want to acknowledge, thank you, Lynette. Thank you for that. Really, I mean, like, you amazingly explained to so many of us the reality. Thank you. So we have a couple of people with us. I want to acknowledge Kelly is here. She's grateful for this resource, Bridget, that you have. Bob has been here for a while, and he has a couple of comments. And we're going to talk about the stress of their jobs. And then he also said that he's grateful, which is really nice. Thank you, Bob. He's a mental health. He's a huge mental health leader, I call him, doing great work and a huge, huge resource. I want to talk about the stress because that is something that the three of us have come together and like we really are committed to helping first responders around their well-being, their stress management, their resiliency. And I want to shift over to Bridget because we are doing, as you can see in the ticker on the bottom, we're about to launch, we're going to do a free resilience program. And we've been doing a couple of these leading up to the resilience program that'll be on May 3rd. Bridget, tell us about it a little bit and sort of your goal with it.
Yes. I just want to add one thing to what Lynette said. The amazing thing about cops and first responders in everything you just described, about everything that they go through, all of the degradation that they're going through right now. And the most amazing thing is that person who spits on them when they need help, they're going to show up to help. Like we show up to help the people who need it regardless of how we're treated. And I say we because I did it too. I mean, we've all been anybody that's been in law enforcement knows, like you call 911, they're going to show up. And when there's times when I would show up that you called because you needed me and I showed up and they just started screaming at me and spitting at me. And I'm like, hold on a second. You called me. How can I help? While I'm being berated while I'm there. But it's what we do. Like you said, we run to the fire, we run to the injury, we run to the danger because that's what we signed up for. And I think that's just so amazing that everything that first responders are going through, they're still doing that. And they'll protect the people who are throwing the bottles at them. And it's amazing to me. But yeah, so with that in mind, it's that the law enforcement legal and wellness program is designed to give people the tools, like specific tactics and tools to be able to find the joy in life. I believe that it's not about the destination. I mean, it's that, quote, everybody's here. It's not about the destination. It's getting there. And to me, there's a difference between, I say I want people to feel happy, but to me, there's a difference between joy and happiness. Happiness is like, oh, I'll be happy when I get there. Joy being joyful is enjoying the process along the way. Like, just living a life where you can say that you feel joyful every day. That's what we want. So the program, and specifically this resiliency program, to me, and I heard this recently, I think it's so true. We all know that there's stress, and we want to provide solutions and tactics and skills to handle that stress and get rid of it. But as you get rid of it, you don't want to leave a void. If you leave the void, it's going to be filled by something. But what you want to do is you want to fill it with comfort, ease, support, joy. And that's what the resilience program is. It's taking what is there and giving the tools to let it to release it in whatever way that is. It could be as simple as going for a walk. We'll talk about that in the program. Sometimes it's some simple things that just make a profound difference. But it's replacing the stress with something else. It's learning to recognize it, learning to let go of it in particular ways, and then moving forward in very tactical ways. And the way I like to describe this in a way that I think resonates with first responders is what I learned from being on SWAT team, and anybody who's had a lot of training or paramilitary or military, is that you train and you train and you train and you train so that when something happens, you don't have to think about it, you just do. And I worked at my sheriff's office, had phenomenal training program. Our sheriff believed strongly in training. So the whole agency got a lot more training than I think a lot of departments do, especially smaller departments. But then being on SWAT teams, you just get that much more. And a part of that was not just that tactically I can shoot in any situation where if my gun jams, I can fix it and get back to action really quick. I can clear the stairwell, which, by the way, clearing stairwells are scary things to do. Hostage situations. How do you take somebody if you're in a skinny hallway and the hostage taker has the girlfriend and coming out of the bath? How do you do that? And so train and train and train and train and train. So the second you get that opportunity to save somebody's life, you can do it. And but part of that was sitting in a classroom and talking about scenarios and doing the what ifs over and over and over again. And that's, to me, part of what this resilience training that we've put together is you're training yourself to say, when this happens, I'll do this. When this thing happens, I'll do this. And it's recognizing maybe a negative and replacing it with a positive. And it's possible. That's what I want everybody to come out of this program or any other program that I put together or offer through the legal and wellness program is it's all possible. And what I mean is from an individual level. I can't change what the job is. None of us can. You can't change that there are things that happen within humanity that are ugly and dirty, and somebody's got to take care of that, and that's going to be us, the first responders.
Right.
But what I want is for you to find that, to find for you to be okay. And it's this resilience training that gives you, it's hard, like tactics. And I think that just resonates with people. It's tactics. People know the job is bad, but they want to know how to make it better. And we're giving them, say, this is how you can help make it better for you. Like today, starting today, let's do these things. Let's talk about it. And I know that all of us are available to anybody at any time. I mean, we'll do this training, and we want and hope that people will reach out. Like you to give us these tactics, and then you have questions saying, okay, but that all sounds good, but I don't know how to implement that. Call one of us, and any of us, we will happily work through training and skills and routine creation, anything to help make that happen, because I know we're all so passionate about wanting all of these first responders to be okay.
Yeah, the thing I really love about, Lynette and I were just talking about the program and the content of the program. And the thing I really love that you have, Lynette, that you're really acutely focused on is getting our first responders to recognize the implications of unaddressed stress.
Yeah.
Right?
It really, it's so vitally important that we do. In the classes that I've taught in the past, they come with a preconceived notion, is this going to be freaking kumbaya? No, it's not. It's not kumbaya. We're not sitting there holding hands and all that stuff. We're learning about, number one, our body, how stress affects it, and how our job literally can kill us, right? Mm-hmm. So we want to make sure that you understand what happens when stress is controlling you. And when we can turn that around. We can definitely turn that around and give skills and tactics that we can use that may not be conventional, but I will tell you that they absolutely work. And I don't care about conventional, to be honest with you. When you're in a mindset or you're in a dark place, you need somebody to pull you out. And whatever it is that works, having an open mind is so, so important for us at this point. And I know a lot of officers are at their wits' end and they're willing to try anything. And mm-hmm. I am really excited that they will come and try what we have. I mm-hmm. have used these tactics. I have become so much more resilient. I have, gotten so much more passion about this because it works. Yeah. And, sometimes people can talk about things, yeah. but when you try it and it works and it actually transforms your life, then you want to share it with others because you see how much they're suffering and how much they're not aware and not present to what's really going on in their lives. Things could be falling apart and they don't realize it until it's all fallen apart. It's so broken that you can't put those pieces back together. And so we want to be proactive and make sure that we get to every single first responder that needs to hear this and that needs the tools to be able to be resilient, tools to be happy and joyful and to enjoy what they have. Practice gratitude for what they have. Sometimes we're in such a dark place that we can't even be happy for our family, our children, mm-hmm. the things that are happening because this dark cloud overshadows everything. And watching social media, watching TV on a regular basis, that kind of stuff can totally tear you down. And if you're pouring all that in and there's nothing good going in and you're not doing anything good for yourself, it's just a recipe for something pretty bad. And so we want to make sure that all of these tools are put out there and we start utilizing them so that we can get what we deserve. Honestly, I believe that first responders are heroes. and they should be able to enjoy the people that they really are, you know, instead of losing themselves in a profession that should be honorable.
Yeah, the thing I really love about this work, doing it with you, Lynette, before we met Bridget, was the fact that we have the ability to shift the relationship that our first responders has to brain health. Yes. Because from going from not acknowledging it, not addressing it, to being okay with it, to being able to reach out. I mean, you've had testimonials where people have said that to you. You literally changed how I look at brain health. That's what we're out to do.
Yeah, right? Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah. And with my business, you know, my hashtag is just talk about it. Yeah. You know, just talk about it. I don't care what, just talk about it. Because if you let that fester inside, it's gonna kill you. But if you talk about it and you're able to navigate the process and your journey into wellness, you know, you get to enjoy your life the way it should be, right?
Yeah.
The way it should be.
Amazing. So as we start to wrap up our time, this is like flown by. I'm just going to ask you both, do you have any final words of wisdom or any other thoughts that you want to share? And I'll start with you, Bridget.
Yeah, I guess lately I've been, thank you for inspiring me, Lynette. Like I can take a hashtag that says, just try it. Just try it. Just try meditation for 3 minutes. I just posted something on my YouTube channel, plug, about just 3 minutes. Just try it. And I promise you it works. And one of the things I say in that video is, like, you know, I've been doing yoga for a long time. And sometimes I'll be in a pose where somebody will say, now tuck your hip under and twist this way, and you may not feel it. And I'm thinking, no, I cannot feel that at all. Now go into this pose. And then I get there and I'm like, oh, that really did help. I didn't feel it then, but it's definitely helping me now. That's why I say, just try it. Just try talking with someone. Just try reaching out. Just try meditation. Just try this webinar, which is going to be free. It wasn't going to be free, but we decided that it's so important that we decided to make it free for everyone. And that's what I would say is, you know, it's everything. It's never too late. I don't care how long you've been in law enforcement. I don't care what you think about it. Just try it. Just try it. The thing that happened to me last summer in June of 2020, when I felt like the world for law enforcement was going to hell in a handbasket, and it just keeps going down, it seems like, since then, is I got so mad. I spent 2 weeks. I may have told both of you this. I spent 2 weeks, bleep me if you need to, just being pissed. I was on social media seeing what my friends, like people who know me and know who I am as a person, posting this stuff about law enforcement. And like, wait a second, like I can't be friends with any of you anymore because you think that about law enforcement. I wasn't like that at all. And none of the people I worked with were like that at all good people. And I got so mad. And then all of a sudden it was around my birthday, June 16th. If you want to write that down. I believe in celebrating birthdays because you can't stop them. You might as well just have fun having them. So it was around my birthday, and all of a sudden I thought, you know what? I can't do a daggum thing about this, but what I can do is look at, is there an opportunity to do better? And what I mean is that, and I mean that for law enforcement too, is there something we can do better? Yeah, I'll tell you the answer is yes. And I don't just mean community relations, because I definitely think there's something we could all look at to do better in that. But I think it's just personally, is there something you can do better to take care of you? And the only other thing I want to say is, and not to make light of that, is I think that's huge, is these resilience tactics, to me, you can call them a lot of different things. I can tell you that I use them with my kids. I use them in how I relate to my kids and how I respond or not react in certain things. I'm not perfect at that, but I definitely think it helps. And then it's moments like that where if I cannot use these tactics to not react in a negative way with my kids, and then that takes you into work. So imagine if you go into work, reacting in having a very positive interaction using these tactics with your family, then that sets the groundwork for when you go into work, because we've all gone to work having yelled at our kids and feel guilty about it, or just something that happened, you're going, you're just like, ugh, you're already like that. And wound tight. And so this helps you not just on the job, but these are life skills, not just job skills. And so I just think it's so important because, again, it's just try it, use whatever works. And it's like both of you guys have said it works. And some of it is not complex. I mean, there's not much of anything we're going to talk about on May 3rd that's super complex. There's simple things that when done consistently, creating routines around them, they make a difference.
Yeah. Small incremental changes can yield results. Yeah.
Yes.
Lynette, any final thoughts from you or words of wisdom?
No, I just want to say, please tune in. It'll be the best thing. We always do everything for everyone else, but doing this one thing for yourself, whoever's watching, doing something for yourself is going to make it better for everyone else on the outside that you love and the people that you serve. Put your own mask on first, and then you can help others. And so getting yourself to a place where things can be calm, you control that. Nobody else can. And so I'm inviting any and everybody that will, please come listen in. You don't have to say anything, or you could say a whole lot in the chat. We would love it. I just want to make sure that I gave of myself and that you know that I'm here because I'm passionate about you living the best life that you can live and giving you the tools to be able to do that. Had I not had it, I don't even know where I would be. So thank you, Michelle, so much for inviting me back again. And I love our collaboration, because I believe that even if we save one life, we've done something that's absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you both. You guys are great. I'm so grateful that you're here. Looks like Bob, we have a fan over here. He wants to make sure that he connects us. He does amazing work with the mental health space. So we'll definitely loop up with him. Thank you, Bob. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Guys, thank you. And thank you for giving me almost a full hour of your time today. It's been great talking to you and sharing this. And I look forward to our collaboration. I look forward to May 3rd and seeing where else we can go to make a difference for people.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love both of you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.